So what futures are coming to this study? No one can really escape from the future this planet faces. So sustainable education is the key to change our behavior or create our choices. Then this study seeks our possibilities more, I think. Hello everyone, welcome to Spsf program. My name is Hideki Maruyama. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about how we work for Spsf and the contents of Spsf2. So today's title is Learning for Sustainable Futures. And we're going to talk about what is the learning and what is the sustainable futures and what we can do for it. But before talking about the contents, let me explain a little bit about myself. My name is again Hideki Maruyama, and my background is shown like here. I majored in education and an undergrad program, and I studied abroad in the United States thanks to some programs. And after graduating school, I went to Africa as a volunteer teacher. And after that, I went back to the academia and then studied about international development and education. And in that graduate school, I have studied with a lot of international students too. And that's a really important moment for me too. And after graduating the graduate school, I went to Ministry of Education Research Institute and working for about 14 years. And then I belong to the International Research and Cooperation and I work with UNESCO, OECD and JICA as an international corporation. And after that, since 2015, I have been working for Sophia University here. And currently, I am teaching the Sophia Program for Sustainable Futures, or Spsf, which we are going to talk about now. And I also teach more about international education and development. And especially in the seminar, we have a lot of guests, and we also have a lot of communication with the other countries and professors too. And of course, the students. And finally, I'd like to emphasize a little more about how experiential learning is important. And then I think it is really advantageous for all of you to take some programs which includes the study tour or the field study on sustainability, which I have taken for last 6 years. And I think you will enjoy if you join us. And my specialty or the academic field or backgrounds is called Comparative and International Education. And my main theme is lifelong learning, non-formal education, and education for sustainable development, or ESD. So let's get started for today's contents. It is about the sustainability education. And first of all, I'd like to introduce a brief outline of Spsf. It is an interdisciplinary approach, and I think it is quite unique in the Japanese university. And second of all, I'd like to emphasize a meaningful learning for sustainable futures, not only for yourself, but also others, the other people too. And it is really about the sustainability education, and we need to think about how sustainability and ourselves are interrelated from the perspective of education. And finally, I'd like to emphasize the learning for others with others. So learning is not only for yourself, ourselves, but also for others. Others means not about humanity. It is covering the other entities or all living things, such as small bugs, or the animals, or the planet itself. So we will think more about the natural environment and the social environment too. Okay, let's start from the first section, which is about a brief outline of Spsf. And a sustainable future is not something given to us by someone else, but instead it's something we created for well-being of nature, people, and society. So we have always choices to do or to make for the sustainable futures. So we can choose to build up the sustainable futures by ourselves, not someone else. And Spsf provides you with a lot of lessons across the 6 departments, including the first year common lectures and the third year seminar for all Spsf students to take together. So let me show you highlights. as you can see, in the left hand, you can see the years, so from 1 to 4. And you also see the items such as the Spsf unique program or the lessons, and the general education, and the specialized education, which means your own department education. And then let's take a look at the first year. Then you will take, all of us will take the lectures about sustainable futures. And it is composed by a lot of disciplines. The 6 departments, professors or faculty members will provide you a lot of lessons and special education about their disciplines, such as economics or the management, sociology, education, or global studies, including journalism. Then those are the quite important part for the beginning of the sustainable futures. So we will learn how those disciplines are interrelated and how we can find the data, or how we can analyze from the different perspective based on those disciplines. And if you take a look at the general education, it is the common subjects such as academic skills or the so-called liberal arts. Those are the contents of the common lessons. And you can also see the minimum requirement for the specialized education provided by your department. So for example, the introduction to global studies, I also had a part of that. Then you will learn how the beginning of those disciplines starts, and how we can analyze or collect the information or the phenomena by those disciplines. That's a first year program. Then I think you will be quite busy in taking those classes. But look at the second year, and that's a kind of freedom. You have a bunch of choices to go or do anything. So because we don't have a Spsf unique program in the second year, instead you will take a lot of opportunities or courses from the common subject in the general education, and you can also take a lot of classes from the other departments, which is not necessarily within the Spsf. So for example, you can take classes from FLA, Faculty of Liberal Arts, or some other Japanese classes too, including Japanese lessons. And the third year, again, we will have a seminar for the sustainable futures, which means we will bring our experiences, knowledge, and skills all together back to the same cohort, same groups of the Spsf students. So that means the first year, we will start the common start, and then we will bring all experiences together again to the seminar. Then seminar for sustainable future is composed basically based on the so-called PBL approach, or the project or program-based learning. So we will take exactly the real situation or the surroundings or the real environmental issue which we face, and then tackle with those issues, and then we try to build up the solution for ourselves based on those experience and knowledge and skills. And then at the same time, you still have a space to take some common subjects as well as the other department, but mainly you will face more lessons or the subject which provided by your department. So for example, if you're an education student, you would take a seminar for sustainable future. At the same time, you would take a lot of specialized or more important or more specified contents, advanced contents of education department lessons. And the final year or the fourth year, you will concentrate on your own department lessons. And this is a brief summary, but as a reality, I have shown the figure like this one. As you can see, the first year is you have a programmized, you will face the programmized courses, then you would take a lot of classes. But second year, you have a blank in the Spsf core curriculum or the core subject, but instead you would need to take a lot of lessons or the classes from other department, which is understood as the interdisciplinary learning, as you can see in the center of the figure. And at the same time, you can take other activities, which includes the social engagement program or internship or study abroad. So those programs really expand your knowledge or view, perspectives, and your backgrounds too. And finally, you will concentrate on the graduation thesis or the research to graduate. And you will receive each department degree. Then let me share with you about the backgrounds, why we design like this way. We can understand the education relationship between the education and the sustainable futures as like three approaches. One is summarized as the education in sustainable futures, which is more about experiential learning. So, for example, you go to internship program and then you learn by hand or by body, then those experiences could promote your intention, your interest, or your understanding, comprehension about a sustainable future by your physical memory. And second one is the education about sustainable futures. So that will be quite easy to imagine for you, I think, because you have received a lot of lessons, or in the high school, for example, you have a receiver of those information which provided by the teacher. Then it is more like a lesson or lecture style. Then you will learn about sustainable futures as a knowledge. And the final part is quite important, and I like to emphasize as my own research too, which is titled Education for Sustainable Futures. And you can see the letters in the slide, and then it said the critical education, examining the origins of environmental problems and preparing you for an active role as a change agent. So, for example, the third year, we're going to have a seminar for sustainable futures, and which is based on the PBL or program or project-based learning. Well, actually it depends on the situation. Since the Spsf started under the COVID-19 pandemic situation, then we had to start from as a project base. So it depends on the situation which we face in the future. But basically, we will take a lot of active approaches in active learning approach for the program solving. And beside that, the Sophia University provides a lot of opportunities, including international internship or the student-led project, including the social engagement program. And then, of course, the social engagement program is deeply related to experiential learning, that is the education in sustainable futures. But at the same time, or simultaneously, you will experience the program itself, and then from the contents, you will learn what to do for the sustainable futures as a real experience. How this study changed people and society? People can change, but people are people at the same time. So when we focus on the rational and social sides only, it still might be difficult to change the people. But including the emotional side could change ourselves for a better future. So I think education can bring those alternative choices. Okay, now let's move on to the second section. It is meaningful learning for sustainable future. University education is the final formal stage for your lifelong learning. So lifelong learning actually starting from your baby time to your end of life. But school education covers a quite important part of your learning, and we will learn how to learn for the rest of our life. And then university, luckily or unfortunately, will provide you the formalized or formative way of learning. And then we have to pay a little more attention, because some people still misunderstood that we can learn anytime. But if you don't know how to learn for ourselves, then it could be something happen that we miss how to learn. So let's get on quite seriously about how we learn. Then But more importantly, I'd like to emphasize that our learning becomes more effective when we find meanings in the contents for ourselves, which means that we are not the receivers of information provided by someone else, such as the teachers, but we are the owner of the knowledge. So when we receive the information, we will develop that information into our knowledge. So in that process, the learning happened. So some backgrounds I'd like to share with you is something like this one, that it is the international comparison for the answering or responding to the question, who wants to know something new after graduating school? So you can see that, unfortunately, in the left corner, at the top, you can see the Japan, and in the bottom, it's the United States. And of course, it's quite difficult to clearly say or clearly argue Japan is the lowest level of those interests. But generally speaking, as average, we can understand Japanese students or the Japanese adults are not quite willing to study something more after graduating school, or Korea. And then I understand, or maybe we can imagine that we are quite tired of being schooled or going to school too much, or the school education or the school contents are sometimes really pressing on us. And then whenever we think about learn something new or study something, we feel the negative imagination comes with. So, but instead, if you pick up the Sweden, Denmark, Canada, Finland, those are the countries so-called the Nordic style of learning, and then it's lifelong learning is quite emphasized in those areas and countries. So when we think about the fun of learning, or fun for learning, then we, or the Japanese students and Korean students, need to open up our mind a little more than before. So in order to make sustainable futures, maybe we have to be our own sustainability. We have to think about our own sustainability too. And in order to be sustainable, we can learn something new by not only the school-based educational knowledge, but also we have more fun in the different field as a knowledge or the package of information. Then we have to find how to make a meaning in those process of learning. So for example, if you are really love or crazy about the playing some game, then you have a lot of opportunities to think about how to play well. And then those approaches, those skills are not sometimes important to your parents maybe, but within your friend, between your friends, or between your partners, somewhere around the world. For example, the TV game or the so-called esports, then that could be quite important for you to play well in the game. Then the learning is not really something pushed by your parents or the teachers, but instead maybe you will learn by yourself by watching TV, the movie in the YouTube, or maybe you learn from the better player and you try to embody those information or skills into your own body. So those are the fun learning. And then we are lucky if we can find those fun or learning fun. But if we cannot find those, then maybe we need to explore ourselves, or we need to seek those opportunities to find those information which connecting to our fun. What happiness would I have found in this study? Yes, I am happy when people learn something new and when they are happy. So learning is a treasure. Okay, move on to the final point, learning for others with others. Your idea, as I explained to you, the playing well for the esports is good idea for your own sustainability. and it's also meaningful for your own sustainable future. But at the same time, we will need peers or all others to make it better. So as an example, if esports, for example, if esports bring us the well-being across the people or the generations, then why not play with others? So those are the logics we need to think or find the alternative way to develop a path to sustainable future. So sustainability education will be such a collaboration space because the various students come across the world, and we will visit other places or spaces and students or the same generation, young generations. So in short, we are not stick with the school environment or the classroom itself, but instead we can explore a lot of opportunities or the potentials which can be provided by someone else or found by ourselves, and maybe the meaningless situation can be turned to meaningful places or spaces for ourselves if we have a different mindset or the approaches. So more specifically, I try to modify, I build up the model like this one. You or we are the center of those environments in the learning environment. And you can see, unfortunately, maybe it's too difficult to see those slides and the contents, but you can check the pamphlets or the website of the Spsf. But I'd like to emphasize, you can see that first factor in the green is the discipline, that is the academic contents. And the professors are behind, so you can communicate and you can develop your knowledge and skills with professors, from the professors too. And then you can see the blue circle is showing the issues and the sustainable futures. So society, communities which we belong, can bring a lot of opportunities. And maybe we can also explore the new environment to find the issues and the sustainable futures as an experience. And the final point is light green, showing the collaborative learning. So we need others. We need others. So learning never happened. The learning happened by ourselves, but more learning occurred if we interact with others. But please be reminded, others doesn't necessarily mean the people. So humanity is one of the animals or the entity across the world. So in the planet, on this planet, then we can pay more attention to the animals. Maybe you have a pet, then those are dogs, cats will be good friend, and maybe you can learn from them too. But at the same time, we can share those experience and skills and findings with other people and maybe the dogs too. So we need the partners, we need the other people, and we need other entities. Beside animals, maybe we can learn from something from the nature or the natural environment, also provide the good timings on occasion to reflect ourselves, and we find something from the nature too. So let's take a look at the specific examples. And this slide shows some photos. So for example, the figure 1 in the left top showing the symbol of sustainability, which created by the participants of the group. And this letter or the word or the symbol represent the well-being of ourselves, which composed by the Japanese, Finnish, the German. Then those participants from at least the 3 countries collaborated and create new term for sustainable future for themselves. And in the secondly, I'd like to show the experiential learning in the middle photo in the right corner, saying some NGO staff or teachers as well as the students are learning together. Since the even teacher had limited knowledge about the real situation sometimes, then the experts always explain those things, and of course that they learn each other, since the even experts will learn from the beginners, because the beginners have the different perspective toward the same phenomena or the situation. So that's interactive as well as the experiential learning too in the field. And the learning never stopped, even the online situation or the environment. And you can see the 2021 Estonia study tour in the left corner. It's provided the only perfectly online program, but we have done a lot of interaction discussions over the internet, and through the monitor we learn each other, and we had quite exciting moment to those learning process. And in the right corner in the bottom, you can see the Stanford program that is relating to the design thinking, and we have completed with the program through the online course, and then we are quite proud of showing the completion of the t-shirts. So when you come to the SPS program, and then you can you can apply any of the programs, and I'm sure you will have a quite exciting moment with other people or the students too. So that is all from my side, such a short introduction about a Sustainable Future program. But Spsf have a YouTube channel. Please check them. And of course, the Spsf office or university always welcome your questions or query, think about or ask about or design together for the sustainable futures. So thank you very much for your attention. See you soon.